Welcome to the Prevail Over Cancer Podcast, where we take a metabolic approach to help guide you on preventing, prevailing, and striving over cancer.
We are live on the Prevail Over Cancer podcast. I am one of your hosts, Jeff Lopes. I got my incredible co-host, Keith Bishop, and a very, 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 very special guest. First off, Keith, how are you, buddy?
Wonderful. It's been a tough week. One of those virus infection things I had to deal with for a couple of days, but I'm over it. So all better.
Awesome. One of my past podcast life was Jeff Knows Inc. Anybody knows me, and I've transitioned it the last almost a year now, 6 months to a year, to the Prevail Over Cancer podcast with my history. And Clark was our guest today, our special guest today. Clark Bartram was a guest on our podcast past, and we got to know each other. And the guy's been in movies. He was Batman in a movie. He's been on over 250 magazine fitness covers. Like, when it comes to the fitness industry, everybody knows Clark. So when I got a call and a message from Clark a while back saying that he had cancer, it just shocked me, right? Because when you look at yourself, you look at myself, Clark, we're not the individuals that you'd visualize years back having cancer, but it seems like nowadays it's just going wild. So I think your story is going to be very inspirational. It's also going to help a lot of people that possibly are in the future going to get prostate cancer to be more alert, be more aware. So I think your story is very, very important. So let's just dive into it. How are you, buddy?
I'm fantastic. Just to sum it up to today, it was like I had a cold. It's gone. That's how I put my mindset to it. But to your point, Jeff, they say that there's a tsunami of prostate cancer on the horizon. By 2032, I believe they say there's a tsunami. What does that mean? There's going to be a whole lot of guys. The average now is 1 in 7. So if there's a tsunami coming, it's going to lower it down to 1 in 5, 1 in 4. 70% of guys over 60 are going to have some sort of BPH, some swelling, inflammation in the prostate. And if not taken care of, who knows what happens? Who knows what the progression is? Who knows how this whole thing turned out to the day I sat here about 2 years ago in this very seat with my wife behind me, and my urologist was looking at his screen on a Zoom call, and he said, "We did find cancer." And that was the beginning of a journey that has led me down a path of, in all honesty, as weird as this might sound to some people, it's been a blessing. It's been a blessing to me. And I know you feel the same way about yours, Jeff, as you've turned it into something with Keith here that's educating people all around the world, myself included. I've been watching you guys and I'm inspired. So we'll talk about that, what's happened with me in the journey, but I feel great, and I just kept going.
So what were the symptoms? Let's talk about that first. What are the symptoms? What made you do this? Or was it just a basic regular checkup?
Yeah. Prostate cancer is asymptomatic, meaning most people are never going to have a feeling. Your balls don't hurt. It doesn't burn when you pee. You don't have a stomach ache, anything like that. Mine happened just by it wasn't even a regular blood test, because most guys my age, and I understand this very well because I deal with guys my age every single day of my life with my coaching program. They say things like, "Oh, I don't have time for the doctor. I don't want to know." All of these just lame excuses that are based in fear, because ultimately we don't want to find something out that could potentially change our life. So I had a concierge doctor because I coach men over 40 how to boost their testosterone naturally. And much to the dismay of all the trolls online, I don't do TRT. I haven't been doing TRT. It didn't cause cancer. It doesn't boost cancer. But I was solely looking at my blood work in the parking lot of a Crunch Fitness around COVID time to get online and brag about how high my testosterone levels were naturally as a guy getting ready to turn 60. So I'm looking at them and they're 787, 780, something like that. And the guy's like, "Yeah, that's great, but your PSA is 9.8. You better head to your urologist." And like you said, I'm like, I'm Clark Bartram. It's no big deal. I'm not going to have anything. And I did what a lot of guys do. I dragged my feet, and it was COVID, so it took longer. So by the time I got there and insurance denied me the first time, there was a lot of time that passed by that I could have been doing something that I wasn't. And I don't have any regret for that, because I've learned in the process that 95% of men who are diagnosed with what I was diagnosed with move too quickly and do things too irrationally and based in fear. So it was from a concierge blood panel, just innocently looking, getting ready to go online and yeah, look at me, I'm 60 and I got high T levels naturally. And I found out something different.
So you want to jump in there, Keith?
So you mentioned 9.8. So anyway, you weren't waking up at night, peeing or having any issues with that?
Nothing.
Okay.
I wake up at night normally anyway, because I go to bed early. I go to bed at 8 o'clock. So 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3. I'm already
Right.
sleeping.
Oh, yeah.
So
Mhm.
if I was going to bed at 11, like a lot of guys do, I would have gone through the night with no issues at all. But I have a bedtime, and it's 8 o'clock.
So when you did find out first, Keith, Clark, when you did find out first, and just like myself, I sat down with my family, went through that. Did you initially originally just get an appointment with an oncology? Like, where was that gap of like, okay, let me figure out all my options? Because a lot of people, like you do, they work on fear, and not like you did, but like we were saying, a lot of the gentlemen work on fear, and that's something I didn't do because I did my research as much as I could possibly before, so I knew all the options. A lot of people don't do that, and we were talking about that before we went live, even before you came on with Keith. Is a lot of individuals, they are going to just follow what oncology says and what quote unquote science, which is not what the protocol should be, but that's what it seems like it is. Where was your mindset with that gap of like, let me find all my options, let me try to understand this as best I can? What was that timeline?
I instantly shifted my mindset to, from this to let's go. I'm the perfect guy for it.
Yeah.
Because I had a platform of men who are in this category over the age of 40, stressful life, all of that sort of thing. But in addition to what you said, Jeff, the fact that men are going to move quickly because the world of oncology and urology and standard of care is going to speak to them in a certain way. You have your wife sitting behind you who just heard that news as well, crying in fear, thinking her husband's going to die because they heard the word cancer. And instantly, when you hear that, there's an association with there's only so much time left. You have to move now and you have to move quickly. So you have a bunch of like well-meaning people coming at you with anecdotal information, and it's coming at you fast. And if you're not smart enough to shut down all of the noise that's around you and not listen to these people who care but don't know, they have a friend who had a friend that did a coffee enema, or had a friend who did a friend that took it out instantly. Whatever the protocol was for fixing this, it's anecdotal until you look at yourself. So I was smart enough to get on the balcony of my life. My son and I used to make fun of this guy who would speak all the time. He'd like, get on the balcony of your life and observe outside of your emotions. So I was able to do that. And I thought, okay, I'm going to take my time here because I know I'm not dying.
Yeah.
And I know that I have some time based upon the instant research that I did. And I reached out and I just did a deep dive on data. I pooped, peed, bled, and spit into every container I could to find out what my exposures were in my life. What were the things that may have contributed to this outcome? What could I start to eliminate now while I was still doing my research and still trying to find out what way I was going to handle this? And I did that. Like, for example, one of the things I found out was, in toothpaste, what's the name of the ingredient? It's a heavy metal in toothpaste.
Fluoride.
Not fluoride, but something else. We swallow 7% of our toothpaste every time we brush. So by the time we're my age, we've swallowed like 25 pounds of toothpaste with these chemicals in it. That was one of the things that came up high on my blood work and the other tests that I did. So I changed that. And then just little by little, I changed all these things through the data that I got, because that's one thing that everybody agrees on across the board is what is the data to support the next move? What is the data to support the evidence that we're suggesting is going to help you move in a direction. So I hired a guy by the name of Tom Inkledon in Scottsdale, Arizona, who came by way of a buddy of mine, Joe Polish, who's a pretty connected guy. So I would drive 6 hours to Scottsdale, and I was really pleased when I showed up to this guy's facility. It was a gym, and he was treating cancer patients in a gym, having them lifting weights and doing EWOT training and things like that. So that's where I started. Like, I was already a fitness guy, but I bought an EWOT system and started breathing oxygen when I was training, and just layering my approach till I ended up doing what I ultimately did.
I love that you said that, because when you're looking at individuals, a lot of people, that was one of the first things I did, Clark, was I literally took almost like an image of my last 2 to 5 years, even up to 10 years. And I tried to look on what was the root cause, and we focused on what was the root cause. And I started going through things I did, from diets to supplements to lifestyle to environment. And I tried to break down, and then I went by blood work as well. And we started breaking down what toxins I had and stuff like that. So I love that you did that, because a lot of people don't do that. They don't go that depth and don't understand. It's not about just masking it with a protocol oncology gives you, whether it's chemo or something. It's actually finding the root cause and eliminating what caused it, so you can start on a fresh stuff.
Yeah. Triclosan was the ingredient in toothpaste.
Oh.
Triclosan. Yeah.
So let's talk about, you went to overseas. Am I correct with this, for a treatment? Let's talk about that. How did that work? How would that connection work? And what was that whole process and experience as well for you?
Yeah, it was a great experience, actually. My wife and I got a little trip to Germany. I had like 5 bad minutes in my whole entire journey. Literally, I had 5 bad minutes. And you see it in my documentary, because I'm doing a documentary on my entire journey. I took my phone everywhere. I had my phone on my digital rectal exam. I had my phone on my biopsy, my wife's sneaking videos. And there was 5 bad minutes when they called me up and said, okay, we found some metastases in your lymph nodes in your pelvic area. We need to put you on Lupron. So going back to my statement of, I'm Clark Bartram, my testosterone levels are high naturally. If anyone knows what Lupron does, that takes you down to 0. Men who are transitioning from male to female, they get on Lupron to put you into menopause, to put you into 0 testosterone. And I sat here when they said 2 doctors on a Zoom call. I put my head down and I'm like, there's no way I'm doing this. I'm not going on it. So I sat up, and when my doctor originally told me, I don't know if you cuss on here or not, but
Yeah, go right ahead.
I said, fuck you. I put my middle finger on his nose and said, fuck you. I'm not doing that. And he dropped his head and he said, I knew you were going to say that, because by now me and my urologist are friendly, and, he's had his finger up my ass. He's had, we're friendly now. So I told him that, and he dropped his head. He said, I knew you were going to say that. What's your plan? And then when these 2 other doctors said, what's your plan? I had already had one in the thought process. So in the United States, they give you something called Pluvicto. It's a radiopharmaceutical that they save till you're dying, basically. They use that at the end of the road. When you failed chemo, when you failed hormone therapy, when you failed every other intervention, they give you this Pluvicto, which basically, when you're getting your PSMA PET scan, they put a radioisotope into you like you had. It goes through your body, that attaches, it lights up. That's how they see where the tumors are. Well, with this, theranostics is what they refer to. You have the therapy attached to the diagnostic, and they take that same diagnostic material and they attach the therapy to it, the Pluvicto lutetium-177. It travels and it hops on those cells, and it wop, 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 wop like Pac-Man, and eats it up. So I went to Germany and I got ahead of the line. And in Germany, they can give you like triple the dose that they would in the US. And there's all these theories that I have why it's 8 doses in the US and you can get 3 doses in Germany and be done with it. So I went there to the original hospital that developed the PSMA PET scan. So I'm at the epicenter of all of this, and I had this intervention done, and I had to be quarantined in a room for 2 days, just sat there, and thank God for Instagram Live and all of that. So I'm going live during this entire process. And I'll tell you though, it was really interesting because when I walk into this hospital in Bad Berka, Germany, and that means the healing or something like that, you walk right in. Like I walked right in. I didn't check in. I just walked straight in and I go up to the cancer ward. Like the words that they use were horrifying, but I felt I was in the movie One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. It looked like that. Like this nurse back there and the whole situation, I'm like, this is weird. It was me and one other guy that I met there. We had this whole place to ourselves. He's in one room, I'm in another room, and they come in and they put that stuff in you. And the toilets have this like an airplane sucking out, because they don't want radiation getting around. They go over you with a Geiger counter when you leave. I had to throw my great shorts away that I love because pee's leaking in them. And then when I came back in customs, the customs agent instantly pulls this card out of his pocket. He's like, dude, what the hell? And they give you a letter saying this guy's going to be radioactive. So they put me aside for a while and really investigated why I was so radioactive when I came back. But I did that in lieu of doing this hormone deprivation therapy, because to me, that's barbaric. Castrating a man and cutting off his source of being a man is no way to have any quality of life. And that's one thing I want guys to understand, specifically with prostate, is your quality of life is the number one thing that you should be focusing on, regardless of what your team is telling you, regardless of what your family is telling you. My wife even said, well, now you'll know what it's like to be a woman. I'm like, what do you think? I don't want to know what it's like to be a woman. I have no interest at all. Yeah. Good for you having babies and doing all that, but I'm a man and I need testosterone. So that I went to Germany and did that. And yeah, that was the beginning of the rest of the story. So
how did you find out about that treatment?
I know people, man. Keith, I'm connected, and so it's really funny because we'll get to this. I wrote this comic book, and I'll tell you why. But in the comic book, it says Clark gathered his team of scientists and people to help him figure this out. And it's literally what I did. I started calling people. I started reaching out and saying, who do you know? What can I do? What is there different? And the weirdest thing ever happened to me, and I believe like it was God intervening. When I first got the diagnosis, this buddy of mine who owns Assault Fitness, the bikes, the Assault Fitness.
Yeah.
He said, I got a guy that runs, he's like a janitor, or he runs the department at Loma Linda University. And I'm going to get you on the phone with him. And this guy wasn't even in oncology. He was just someone that worked there in maintenance. He goes, well, there's a guy there that does something called theranostics. Let me hook you up with him. So I get on the phone with this guy one day in the gym, and he's got a really hard Cuban accent. The music playing in the gym, I couldn't understand him. And fast forward later, I kind of blew the whole conversation off because I'm like, oh, this is weird. Later down the road, I meet this guy again off of TikTok from a guy that says, I saw you telling your story on TikTok. There's a number I want you to call. So I call this number. It's already in my phone. It's this guy that does this intervention, the theranostics. That's when I learned about that type of treatment, which is kind of a new emerging in the field of oncology with the radioisotope and the diagnostic material together. So we connected and we became fast friends. He said, hey, I'm going to Germany. You can come with me. We'll get you this treatment. I just said, let's go. Let's go. Let's do it. I'm willing to do it. And I did. And that's when I really started to learn a lot more about this whole journey of the whole treatment process with prostate cancer.
What's your knowledge with that, Keith? Have you heard about this before? Like, what's your knowledge with that treatment?
Well, I've heard of them before. And so, they use similar type things for thyroid cancer, radioactive iodine. And they give high doses of the radioactive iodine, and the thyroid has to have that iodine. And so it just kind of sucks it in, but it's radioactive. So now it's going to eat away at it and kill it. And so, yes, there are definitely a lot more research going on that. In the United States, it requires a lot more trials and approvals to get it done. And due to litigious issues, lawsuits and stuff, doctors aren't willing to step outside traditional treatments here in the United States. And so it's just too much money for their insurance, or they'll get kicked out of the hospital situation. So, because they're tied up with these hospitals.
That's crazy. Clark, you went on the next, what was I know you did radiation. Am I correct?
Yes.
What was the gap from your Germany treatment to radiation, and why did you go that route of radiation? Because that's the one thing I did before, and is one thing I kind of regret I did.
I remember you telling me.
What was your mindset with radiation, and why did you go that route? I want to understand your mindset with that, and what was your experience with it? I mean, going through the whole experience, it really doesn't. You don't feel nothing when you're doing the radiation. It's the after effect of it. Did you have any after effects? So tell me your whole scenario of the time gap from Germany to radiation and why you did that route, and what was the purpose of going that direction?
Yeah. So I wanted, the Pluvicto was to avoid the ADT, androgen deprivation therapy.
Yeah.
So that was a no deal for me, period. End of story. I'll die first.
Yeah.
I'll die first. I don't care. And it was only a 15% increase in chances of, we'll call it cure, between having radiation or whatever treatment with no ADT or adding the ADT. It was 15%. The guy showed me these little charts they draw.
Yeah.
So I'm like, yeah, I'll run with my testosterone. I want to be muscular. I want to be strong. I want to be cocky and all that I am that testosterone provides for me. So the time frame between the Germany treatment and the next thing, which was brachytherapy, which is an interesting intervention.
Okay.
Probably 8 months or so. It was a while, because everyone in my circle again started saying, what are you going to do? You need to figure something out. Well, that same doctor that I went to Germany with got me in a clinical study in Miami. And now we know Florida does things a little bit differently in the United States than they do anywhere else. So I was able to get into this third phase of this clinical study with a new radiopharmaceutical that was copper-based, that was way more sensitive than the traditional ones that they were using here. To Keith's point, like, oh, we got to just keep with this. It's what we use. It's what the companies send us. I'm not doing anything different. But in Florida, it's a different story. So I went there and I got in this clinical study, and it was then and during that they found micrometastases. So the question became, Clark, did that happen because you waited so long, or was it always there? It don't matter. We found it. It doesn't matter to me. So because there was some outside of the confinement of the prostate itself, there was a need to do something more. And that even heightened this need for me to do androgen deprivation therapy, which again, that's when I had those 5 bad minutes after I got that PSMA PET scan and realized, oh, it's outside of my prostate now. So the plan then became to go to Australia and do something. It's not lutetium. It was another similar radiopharmaceutical that was even better than what I had in Germany. So that was on the docket for later down the line. But I had been listening to a guy online by the name of Dr. Mark Scholes. He's a prostate oncologist, and he has no pony in the race. He's not a surgeon. He's not a radiologist. He's just a guy that understands prostate. So I was watching his YouTube channels while I was out there on my Stairmaster with the oxygen thing on training, and so I hired him. He became part of my team. I started to assemble a team. I'm the quarterback, but I have different people that I have trusted to advise me. Dr. Mark Scholes was one. Francis Almiguel was another one. And there was someone else I had. But anyway, Thomas Incledon. So I watched this seminar, an 1.5 hour long seminar about brachytherapy, where they put these radioactive pellets directly into your prostate, and it's very localized, because I was looking for a focal treatment. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to go like focused, but now that I found out, it's outside, I have to do more than that. I still went ahead with the brachytherapy because I thought it was very interesting. After I watched this guy give his seminar, And he showed his machine, how simple it was. I had already gone to the proton clinic down here with Dr. Whatever is now, I forget all these guys' name. And he even said, I heard about you. This doctor, the proton place, this giant building that they import these stones from Michigan because it's the only ones that can keep the radiation in, and these giant $10 billion machines. This guy's showing his thing like, this is my machine. I keep it in the trunk of my BMW. I can take it anywhere I go. So it was this contrast in treatments. And then when I went down to see this guy at the proton place, he's like, I heard about you. I'm not going to talk to you about Lupron. You'll beat me up. I have it on video. It's in the documentary. I said, I'm not going to beat you up, but we're not talking about it. So I chose not to go that route because it just seemed like it was too much of a, like, I don't know, it just seemed overwhelming. So I chose to go with this brachytherapy, which you go under general anesthesia and they go in through your perineum with a long needle, and typically they have 120 of these radioactive pellets that in real time, they're watching a screen of your prostate because you're moving and you're breathing and you're doing things. So they can go in there. They have a graph that they map out prior, and you're under general anesthesia, and they're just dropping these seeds in very like thought out patterns, and they radiate out about 1 millimeter, so you can keep it confined. And then they put space or gel in between your rectum and your prostate, and so everything's protected. So they put 90 of these gray pellets in me because they couldn't do 120, the full dose, because they knew we had to do more radiation outside of that IBRT, external beam radiation, because it was in the lymph nodes. So they had to be attacked, and those pellets couldn't do that. So it was during the time when I was transitioning from this shot that seemed so like it was no big deal, right? I had a little IV for 15 minutes. I stayed in the room. That was doing its thing. We saw it on the scan that it was actually on the cancer cells. But when I went to this brachytherapy, this is when everyone started to tell me, no, when I went to IBRT, everyone started saying, you're going to be tired, you're going to be sick. The whole time you hear it from people, you're going to be this, you're going to be that. And I'm like, you don't know who you're talking to. I'm not that guy. So my mind with the pellets, I started thinking about superheroes. I'm like, well, Peter Parker was bit by a radioactive spider. The Hulk had radioactive fallout. They turned into these superheroes. What if these pellets cause Clark Bartram, the fitness guy, to be even better than he already is? So I came up with this idea that the Egyptians were exposed to these radioactive pellets. And that's what gave them strength, intelligence, and compassion to build the pyramids. So that's what we'll talk about it later. But anyway, this little acronym, SICK, right here, I'm going to give this out to children in children's hospitals and say, yeah, if anyone says, oh, he's sick or she's sick, or are you sick? Yeah, with strength, intelligence, and compassion, because my treatment is making me a superhero. My treatment, I'm going to cry. So the brachytherapy, and I'll tell you a real funny story. I got, first time ever, I got approval from the surgery center to bring a camera crew in. Because again, I'm making a documentary, and it's being edited right now by Alex Ardenti, the guy that did Sups, the movie. I get my camera crew to go in there. I'm mic'd up. Everyone in the surgery center is like, what's going on? Who is this guy? Why does he have a film crew here? So I go live. Okay. I go live on Facebook, and then I decide to switch to Instagram. So I got my tripod. Doctors are there. Nurses are coming over. They're getting me ready. I'm in my gown. So I go into the surgery center. They're all in there. They got stirrups because I got to put my legs up like I'm a gynecologist because they're going in, right? And I said, hey, where do you want me to put my phone? They're like, we don't care where you put your phone. So the nurse is down here, the doctor's down there, the stirrups are right here. I take my phone, I put it back here, and the anesthesiologist, we start playing a game. He's like, let's see how long you can stay awake, tough guy. I'm like, let's go. I'm gone. Next thing I know, I wake up and they're wheeling me out. My camera crews are like, dude, that was crazy. I'm like, did you get good footage? Yeah. Did you show my wiener? No, don't worry. So I come out, my wife is there waiting for me. She's like, how are you doing? Are you okay? I said, I'm great. She said, good, because your dick was out live on Instagram the whole time. I was live and there. The doctor's putting a catheter in me. He's washing me and all sorts of stuff. My wife is in the parking lot watching like, oh my God. She runs in to try and talk to the receptionist. She's my husband's dick's out on the internet live right now. What can we do? And the girl's like, I don't know. I've never had this happen before. I can't go in there. They're doing surgery or what.
Oh, this is awesome.
Be careful. If you're trying to be an advocate for men's health, you got to put it all out there. That's all I'm saying. And I did.
So let's jump to the radiation now. Your experience and why you decided to go. Obviously, it had with the micros had spread. That was the whole idea with the radiation. Did you do a 30-day radiation? Do a 5-day? What did you do radiation wise?
I did 25 days of radiation.
25 days.
And so, and the reason is because I kind of had to at this point. And as much as I wanted to go, we'll call it the natural route and eliminate the triclosan and all of the other things that I was exposed to. Hell, I live under power lines. Like if you look out my window right here, there's big power lines. Did that contribute? Probably, because people want to blame one thing. It's not ever one thing. It's a collective of
100%.
Life, man.
Yes.
The emotional stress and the environmental stress, the chemical exposure. I was doused with JP5 jet fuel in the Marine Corps multiple times. I've been around burn pits of oil burning and breathing in that stuff. Did that contribute? Absolutely. Did stress in my life and in all of business and marriage, and absolutely. Did the food and the alcohol and the pot and the cocaine and all of the stuff that I've exposed myself to plays little parts in all of this, in my opinion. And there's we don't get fat because of McDonald's. It's a multitude of things. So as much as I wanted to go the natural route and do things, I realized that standard of care it's not a bad thing. It's really not a bad thing. We sometimes get on sides of fences and we demonize one or the other. Standard of care will go, oh, you natural people, coffee enemas and this and that. And yeah, your diet ain't going to change anything. Shut up, man. I'm going to change my diet. I'm going to do what I want to do. You do what you do. Stay in your lane. And that's really what I told my people to do. I said, I got me on the other side. You do what you do. So I sought out a guy who was really good. We became friends because he saw that I wasn't playing games. I had my camera going. He knew I did my research. He respected the fact that I was doing that. So I got on the table every morning at 8:20, and it was literally 1 block from the gym that I go to. So I was on the table at 8:20. And you lay there, they build custom leg things for you. They tattoo your hips. Like I just saw this the other day. I forgot that I have that little tattoo right there to line you up.
Yeah.
And every day you go in there, you pull your freaking shorts down, you're laying there and boom, they hit you and it takes, 5 minutes. And I was at the gym at 8:35 every single day and nobody knew that I was getting radiation. Like 15 minutes before.
Yeah.
Radiation, gym.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't going to get tired. I wasn't going to get sick. I wasn't going to do all the things that they plant in your mind in advance because they have to, because that's the medicine world that we live in. They're just warning you. I don't think it's nefarious on any level. I think it's just what they have to do. But the average person is going to go, honey, I'm going to get sick. I'm going to get tired. I'm going to get this. And then they do. That becomes a reality. I refused it. I said, no way. And I got better. I shot a cover of a magazine cover. My goal was after 5 weeks, I was dieting, Jeff.
Yeah.
I was getting ready, Keith, for a magazine cover at 61, 5 weeks after radiation. So that's going to be part of my story as well. The cover of Iron Man magazine at 61 after all of these treatments.
One thing you said before, and you actually mentioned it prior as well, and it's the same, we talk about this all the time with Keith, myself, is when it comes to treating cancer metabolically, it's just like you said, it wasn't one thing that caused the cancer. There's not one thing that is going to prevent, help you prevail or be cancer. It's holistically. It's your diet, it's your exercise, it's your sleep, it's your de-stressing, it's your environment. And people have to understand that because people go on social media and to be like, and we talk about this all the time, you'll hear a post on TikTok, if you walk 30 minutes a day, you're going to reduce 60% chance of cancer. Bullshit. It's everything. If you walk 30 minutes and then go eat McDonald's, or you walk 30 minutes and go tox yourself with alcohol or other things. So it's the whole holistic, and you have to understand there wasn't one thing that might have got it, but there's not one thing that's going to solve it. It's a whole holistic lifestyle that you have to maintain. And a lot of people, I was speaking to an individual that has colorectal cancer like myself, a year younger than me, found out in 2022 when I got it as well. And he went hardcore for 12 months and then slowly started falling off the boat, slowly started falling off the path. And I was talking to him. He's like, yeah, he goes, I got to get back onto it. I'm like, this is your fucking life, dude. Like, what do you mean you got to get back onto it? I haven't put a processed food in my body, a drop of sugar in my body. I haven't stopped a supplement. I haven't stopped a sauna day. I haven't stopped a workout in 2.5 years. Like, I don't stop it. It's going to be till the day I die. I'm going to be doing this because I know I have to, and because I feel better doing it. I know I want to. You're living it. You're doing what you preach, right? Which is so amazing for all the gentlemen you work with your group, and just in general, men around the world. It's everything. It's your diet. I love you. One thing, I don't know if you know Keith. Keith that Clark does. He does videos on cooking and other stuff. So it's the whole lifestyle. Was there any changes to your supplementations or anything like that through the whole process? And because we're big into a lot of supplements when it comes to curcumin and berberine, and there's so many supplements that we actually push and promote. Even melatonin, our last podcast on it. Was there a change of supplements that you started focusing on or really dialing into when it came to the last couple of years of your life?
Yeah. So one thing I want to mention regarding what you had started with, the whole one thing will fix it. I'm sick of hearing about ivermectin. If another person sends me a message about ivermectin and how it's going to heal it, period, they think that thing alone. And here's the problem with it: they don't understand the dose that you need to take and what it does to you when you take the right dose of ivermectin. If you're taking the right dose of ivermectin to help with I call them rogue cells. I don't even use the language of cancer. I hate it.
Yeah.
You'll be hallucinating. Like, there's a lot of stuff that happens. People take, I'm going to take a 5 milligram, whatever. It don't work that way, people. And methyl blue and all this other stuff that they're hitting me with right now. Please stop. Please, you don't know what you're talking about. You're giving second and third hand information. You're not doing anyone any good when you're just regurgitating some crap you heard on the internet, because it could do more harm than good. And I understand people are well-intended, but they're misinformed. So you just need to be quiet and support your person that's going through it by cooking for them, by not adding any stress to their life, by encouraging them to get up and go to the gym, by being someone who's supportive in your actions, not your words, because your words you don't know. Like, I found out a lot of oncologists, they're in a lane. And
they're all in. Yeah.
If it ain't in their lane, they can't speak about it. Like, some of the stuff that I've said, people are like, whoa, I have so many guys like you do, Jeff, calling now and wanting to talk. I had a guy the other day, very smart man. He said, Clark, I learned more in a 40-minute call with you than I did meeting with 3 different oncologists. They didn't tell me about that. They didn't speak of this because they won't, because they're a surgeon. They're talking about surgery. That's it. And great. They're the best in the world, but maybe that's not the route for me. So with regards to supplements, they told me get off everything, because, when you're going through radiation, they don't want you on any sort of
CE, nothing.
No mushroom extract.
Yeah, nothing. Yeah.
So I got off of everything. I did what I was asked to do.
Yeah.
And my supplement regimen starts at a base level of a multivitamin, but I'm a big proponent of blood work on everything that I do, specifically in my coaching program. So if you're not getting your blood done and you don't know what nutrient gaps you have, then you don't know what to take. So going to Costco and grabbing, all of us taking men over 40 ain't working for us, because Keith might have higher levels of vitamin D. I might be lacking in vitamin D. So why would Keith take more of a, so I have my supplements created for me based upon my blood work. So now I'm going through new blood work because I'm out the other end of this tunnel that I was in, and things have changed in my body. So I'm getting my blood work redone to have new supplements designed for me in the event it needs to be changed, and I have a stinky feeling that it will be. So that's the basis of what I do. And they tell you stay away from glutamine. I was a big glutamine guy. I loved glutamine, so I'm not taking that anymore. But I take so my multivitamin covers all the bases that you talked about, the anti-inflammatories and all of those things. So I don't have to go around piecemealing together a cupboard full of supplements. They're done for me in a morning, afternoon, and evening pack. And I just open them all up. Matter of fact, I was going to do a video about it yesterday. I have like 30 pills, 40 pills maybe.
Yeah.
I can do them all in one swallow. I'm a champ. I'm like, I'm going to go on the internet. I'm like, well, maybe that's not a smart thing to do, showing people to swallow 50 pills at once. So that's that. I take creatine, I take a collagen, and I take a prostate pill because I'm weaning myself off of Flomax. And that's pretty much it for me.
Let's talk about that. I mean, there's two things I want to talk about there, and I know I'll let Keith jump in as well. You get them tailored to yourself. Is there a company you deal with? Like, is that a company that does the blood work? Like, you want to talk about that quickly?
Absolutely. So I launched a program with Russell Brunson. It was Funk Roberts. It was Funk Roberts that said, hey, Russell Brunson's looking for somebody to be the face of this new brand. So I got in front of Russell Brunson. If people don't know him, he's this really great marketer. And he introduced me to a guy by the name of Doug Grant. And this is an interesting story too. Doug Grant has a company in Arizona where he does this. He does your blood and he creates the supplements based around it. So our idea with me, Russell, and Doug was to create this thing that Gary Brecka is doing currently.
Yeah.
So we were doing it before Gary Brecka was. Ours just didn't take off. Russell, it just didn't work. But I was sitting here when I was doing a Zoom call with Doug Grant, and he said, I've always wanted to meet you because I've always been curious as to whether or not you're honest about being on any sort of steroid. I said, great, let's go. Let's test my blood. Because Doug Grant is somebody that the Olympic committee would call in to test these athletes. So he's well-versed in blood work and he knows what to look for. So he goes, I want to test you and Mike O'Hearn. I said, well, I can speak for me. He goes, get me with Mike O'Hearn. So I'll do my best. So he tested my blood both in the lab and live one time under a microscope. And I have video of that, him saying, well, the results are in. Clark, you are drug-free. So he and I have developed this relationship, and anyone that wants supplements, I say, go this direction. The problem is it's $400 or $500 for the blood work and then, $150 a month for the supplements. But people always price shop. They're like, I'm just going to go get the multivitamin at the store. And I'm thinking you're wasting more money by being cheap than investing and having something that's built for you. Why wouldn't you get something that's built for you? I don't get it. So yeah, that's what I do. And anyone can message me. It's a very simple, they send you down to Quest or LabCorp. You get the blood work done. It goes directly to them. They analyze it. They do a call with you and explain the reasons why you're taking this and more of that and none of this. So it's something that I highly recommend, because if you do that, there's a chance that you don't need anything else at all. Like at all. Everything's handled in that one supplement that you get right there. My kids are on it. My wife's on it. Everyone's on it.
I love it. Now, quickly, let's talk about a few other things you said there. Do you want to jump on that, Keith?
Actually, some multiple vitamins actually can increase the risk of cancer. And so, there's, synthetic folic acids. And then for some people, too much copper and not enough zinc. And there's definitely half a dozen things in a multiple vitamin that can actually increase the risk of cancers. So we have to be very careful about it.
Yep. These are not synthesized. They're all whole food, pre-digested supplements.
Mm-hmm.
They're assimilated in the body a lot more than is synthetic. If you go to Costco and you just grab a bottle of Men's Over 40 and shake it sounds like rocks in a bottle. How does your stomach digest that and then give your body the ability to assimilate that and put it to use? We've all heard of the study before where they looked in the bottom of porta potties and saw the undigested multivitamins. I don't know if that's an old wives' tale or if that's true. It seems like it would be, because those things, literally, you could smash them with a hammer, and if you don't hit it hard enough, they won't break.
Let's talk about one thing that I absolutely loved before, because I've been, like yourself, I've been in the fitness world for a long time. That's how we know funk and all that. I love my glutamine, and I did as well stop it as soon as I found out. That was one of the first things I stopped. We've talked about in the podcast, the links and the fear of that. Creatine, that's one thing I've been putting a lot more research on. And part of me has almost like a slight fear of taking it, but part of me knows the benefit of creatine. Where's your mindset, Keith? Let's talk to you. You're the expert here. Where's your mindset with that, Keith?
Well, I have done some research into it on the medical studies. What are the concerns of it? And there actually, I don't know of any concerns. It is an energy chemical, but it's not associated with increased cancer risks. Matter of fact, even parts of the immune system, the immune cells, use the creatine to work because it is an energy chemical. So it seems it definitely is different than the L-glutamine and glucose issue about that metabolic part. But the creatine works in a different metabolic area. So it doesn't seem to be a concern about that. Although it's, I have a little bit of a qualifying statement. We need more information. We need more research and data on it. But, people say, well, in studies, they say that red meat increases the risk of cancer, and creatine is in red meat. But then my belief is I think it's actually the other chemicals that are in the meat and how it's cooked is the major issue.
But I'm going to jump on that, Keith, too, is when I researched all those studies, and I researched a ton of those red meat studies, a lot of those studies are not done on red meat. They're done on processed meats. So let's push that aside, because I think that was a lot of fear mongering with people with red meat, and they're not really focusing on where the studies were done. Were they done on hamburgers? Were they done on hot dogs? What was the source of the red meat?
Right.
Another thing, Clark, you said was another supplement is you said was collagen. We've talked about collagen. Where's your mindset with collagen, Keith?
Well, collagen does not cause cancer.
Okay.
And so no information about that concern whatsoever. But, the cancer cells will use the same nutrients that the rest of the body has to have. Yeah. Vitamins, minerals, glucose, glutamine, and collagen.
Yeah.
And so, the issue, and matter of fact, collagen is actually throughout our body: hair, skin, nails, bones, the prostate, every part of our body has, collagen in it. And matter of fact, even some of us, like myself, I've done genetic testing, and actually my wife has a similar problem by a different genetic issue about making collagen. Yeah. And so that's why, I have definitely some joint arthritis issues. My wife has also some joint issues because we have a hard time making our collagen. But cancer cells can use collagen, as a a structure medium. And so it helps the tumor cells to become stronger and may help them to grow and spread. So I'm a little bit more cautious about a person if they've been diagnosed, if they have a tumor, about taking it, on a regular basis. Also, I view collagen as like a processed food. If you eat meat, if you have bone broth, you're going to have, get some collagen. You're going to get all the nutrients you need to make collagen. And that's a different situation than taking a processed food that has been, we don't even know what kind of chemicals they're using when they clean that up. So anyway, I'm a little bit more concerned about a processed collagen peptide protein powder versus bone broth or meats and stews and different ways to get those collagens.
So where are you right now, Clark, in your path before you wrap us up today? Where are you right now, and how's the future look? And obviously it's bright because I'm excited to see your documentary come out and all that stuff. So where are you right now and in your path? And I know you've been also with your PSA test. I think you have a kid as well and all that. Let's quickly talk about that before we wrap up today.
Yeah. So my PSA, as I told you, was 9.8 when I was diagnosed. It got up to 12.35 at its highest. It's 0.96 right now. It's probably lower than everyone listening.
Amazing.
Yeah, good.
That's was ultimately the goal. And with that, I had mentioned earlier about quality of life. My quality of life has not changed. You ask any guy that's in my coach program, any of the coaches that I have, they even say it in the documentary. This is my coach. He's been my coach. Nothing has changed. He shows up every day with the same enthusiasm and energy that he's always had, and even more. So with that, I had mentioned earlier the blessing, and you talked about the kit. First thing I did was created this kit because this was another one of those God things. I'm in the gym. I'm talking to my buddy, and a guy walks up. He's like, "Hey, this is my friend Bart. He runs US Specialty Labs. It's a CAP certified facility down the street here, 20 minutes from me in Rancho Bernardo." And he goes, "He can make your own blood test kit. Do you want one?" I'm like, "Absolutely." He's like, "When do you want to do it?" I said, "Today." I literally left the gym that day, went down to this guy's place, and we created this. And you just get it shipped to your house. You drop 6 drops of blood on a card, you let it dry, you ship it back in. I'm there a lot because I'm getting my blood tested all the time. And I see these kits coming through. It brings me so much joy to know that men are out there taking control because something is so basic and so simple. I've learned so much about blood and how it's tested and the different variants between different labs and machines and the chemicals and how it's done. And that's a whole nother podcast in and of itself. So that was one of the things that was born of this diagnosis. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention, the nonprofit I have. It's called Check It Like a Man. There's a guy by the name of Larry Bracco who was in my coaching program who, because I was very vocal and out there with my diagnosis, he went to get checked. Unfortunately, he had pancreatic cancer. He has passed. I got him on video where I went to his house, me and my team, making him do push-ups as he's leaving this world, going into the next. So a lot of what I do is in honor of Larry Bracco and Ronnie Edwards Jr., who's another guy who was in my program who also found out he had pancreatic because he just went in and got checked. And I'm not saying that to put fear in guys. Most likely when you get checked, you're not going to have anything at all. Most likely you'll be fine. But I would say it's better to get checked, check it like a man, and understand if there's something that needs to be dealt with. And prostate cancer, like my doctor said, after he said, we found cancer, he said, there's a very high likelihood that we're going to get this taken care of. And we did. And that's it. And here I am today. And it's been the best thing, honestly, that's happened to me in this stage of my life because it's created so much. And so many men will speak to me when they wouldn't speak to a doctor. They'll listen to me when their wife's been badgering them forever and they see me on the internet and they're like, "See, honey, this guy got it. You could too." To your point earlier, yeah. I'm probably the last guy in a lineup that you would pick out of the 1 in 7 guys that are going to be diagnosed. But as we stated, it's going to, unfortunately, because of the world that we live in the environment they're surrounded by, it's going to become more and more. And if you can prevent that or stop it early, why wouldn't you?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Mm-hmm. This has been awesome, Clark. I appreciate you being on. I appreciate your story. I appreciate our friendship. And let's battle this together and make sure we bring awareness and a different light than the actual oncology world, but in that different light of different options for people as well. So I appreciate you, buddy.